Candidate for District 1. You have the floor, sir. 30 minutes.
Thank you, Steve, and I thank each and every one of you for being here this evening, and it is indeed an honor and a pleasure to share this floor with two great constitutional conservatives in Barry Loudermilk and Bob Byrne. Both have been very dear friends for a very long period of time. I wish we could find a way to send them both to Washington. Thank you both for offering yourself up to the voters and for what you constitutionally believe in and practice in your day-to-day operations. I sincerely appreciate that. They are both very great speakers as well, so it's very difficult for someone like me to follow somebody like them, because I sincerely believe how you say what you say is very, very important. If you don't say what you say in a manner in which people can understand you, you can be misunderstood or misinterpreted. I'll give you an example of what I mean. Several weeks ago, my wife Babe was coming from Woodstock to Marietta along Highway 5, Canton Road, for those of you who live over in that area. And it was late in the afternoon, about 7 o'clock or so. The sun was going down, starting to get dark, and she saw up ahead that there was a woman walking along the side of the road. So she stopped and said, "Are you having problems?" And the woman said, "Well, I ran out of gas and I'm going down to the gas station to try to get some gas and get back home." And Babe said, "Well, get in, I'll take you down to the gas station." So the woman climbed in, and they were riding down Canton Highway, and they were talking back and forth, and it didn't take a long period of time for my wife to realize this was a full-blooded Cherokee Indian woman. So they began to talk about common issues, and it became a pretty interesting conversation. And my wife said to her, "Are you going to call your husband once you get to the gas station to come and pick you up?" And the woman said, "No, I'm not married, and I don't want to be married." The conversation continued on, back and forth, and they hit a quiet moment in the conversation, and the woman looked down between them on the front seat and said, "What do you have in the bag?" My wife said, "Oh, I just bought a dozen homemade chocolate chip cookies, and I got them for my husband." The woman looked down, looked back up, said, "Great trade." How you say what you say is extremely important. And I want to talk about two issues this evening, but I want to lead up to it with a passionate belief that I have. And I know I'm talking to a lot of conservative folks, but all Republicans aren't conservative. A lot of them live right here in Cobb County. A lot of them hold public office. And I want to talk a little bit about that, because I passionately believe that 2014, that has been projected for quite some period of time, is an opportunity for the American people to begin the process of taking back our country. But I also believe it's the opportunity I want to give to District 1 to begin the process of taking back our county, because we are in the same shape as our country is in. Up here for 30 minutes and give you examples and reasons for that belief. I won't. I will only give you one. It is the fulcrum around which it's all happening. For those who weren't there or watched it on TV, the moment about 2 weeks ago that the Braves organization came before the Board of Commissioners for the final vote to vote on the contract, they pulled a political coup and filled up all of the speaking spots. so that only the pro version could be heard. That's typical. That's not unusual. That shouldn't have surprised anyone. What did surprise me, because I know what the rules are, the chairman could have said, the 12 spots are filled with proponents for the Braves' proposal. As chairman, I am going to allow an equal number of people to speak in opposition, and we will stay here all night if it takes it to hear both sides. He didn't, nor did any one of the 4 district commissioners. And we got what we got. Those are 4 Republicans. They will all come before you and say, I'm a conservative Republican. I care about this county. I don't think so. But the process of change begins with 1. You can't get to 3 if you can't count to 1. That's why I'm running for district commissioner. Is to give the folks in District 1 the opportunity to begin the process of taking back our county. I won't sit there quiet, I promise you. I may be the minority when I begin, but I'll begin the process. Because it's time we take back our county. Both of which I'm very passionate about. First and foremost is public safety. I sincerely believe, as most conservatives do, that public safety is the #1 priority of government at all levels. Federal level, state level, local level. Most importantly at the local level. You ride on the streets that must be protected. You live in your homes that must be protected. Your children go to the school bus, ride them to school, they must be protected. Public safety must always be government's #1 responsibility. There was a point in time, not too many years ago, where in Cobb County we had the highest paid, best trained, most professional group of public safety officials in the state of Georgia. And it was acknowledged all across the state as this is how we should emulate our public safety department. That's not the case anymore. To give you an example of the loss of commitment of this Board of Commissioners to public safety. About a year or so ago, Cobb County lost 70 police officers for a variety of reasons. Not unusual. In the private sector and the public sector, attrition happens. Every year, people rotate in and out. Every year, you have to plan for that. You have to recruit for that. You have to understand that. You have to be committed to do that. Those 70 police officers were never replaced. The $4.3 million that were in the line items to pay for them was transferred into an undesignated contingency to be utilized by the Board of Commissioners for programs and projects they chose. And then this campaign started. And I started throwing rocks, then stones, then damn bombs. The approach changed. Board of Commissioners voted and authorized our public safety director to hire 40 new police officers. And I thought I would shut up about it. Last time I looked, that's 30 short from 2 years ago. What are we going to do about the ones we're losing this year? There is no line item in this year's budget to address that item. And we continue to lose good, qualified people to other jurisdictions. There are 2 issues that are coming before you, one of which you're very familiar with. One probably not so much. It's going to have an equal impact on you. Let me address the Braves issue first. I'm not here to talk about whether it's good deal, bad deal, or how we got there, or even where we're going. Not my focus. I won't be there. I will be there on January 1, not to address the Braves issue, but to address the public safety issue. Our former public safety director said to accommodate the Braves and what the Braves were bringing with them, it's more than just the stadium. Of the 80 acres they own, 15 acres of it is for the stadium. The balance is for mixed-use development. The concept is an Atlantic Station proposal in the heart of Cobb County. To address that issue, our former public safety director said we need exclusively for that area 100 new police officers and firefighters to provide the public safety for those who are visiting us, those who live here and work here. If this Board of Commissioners was committed to your safety, in the negotiations with the Atlanta Braves organization, they would have demanded that the Braves donate 10 acres of their land to Cobb County for public safety facility. They would have demanded that the Atlanta Braves provide the $5 million necessary to build a new police precinct. They would have required that the Atlanta Braves provide the $3.5 million to build a new fire station. They didn't do any of those three things. If they had, that would have been the biggest benefit to the Atlanta Braves organization, to have a police precinct at their front door. It would have been the best thing for Cobb County to provide the public safety necessary in that area, because I know, and you know, and they know that the bad guys follow the money. Who's going to protect them? Never happened, because it was never even thought of. There is no commitment by Republicans to take care of this county. But there is another issue unfolding that is good for Cobb. I think ultimately the Braves are going to be good for Cobb. But one of the biggest issues few people talk about, let alone understand the impact, is at the other end of the county, North Cobb. With the merger of Kennesaw State University and Southern Tech, the projections are in 3 years, Kennesaw State University will be the largest university in the state of Georgia. That's the growth projections. If you meet with their people, and I have, you can see what their projections are based on. New football programs starting up, nationally recognized baseball program, a high-profile basketball program. Big monies are being invested into Kennesaw State University. The impact on adjacent communities is huge. I've met with people from Pine Tree Country Club, for example. They are scared to death on one hand, hopeful on the other, that the university buys them out for their growth and expansion, because they can't get into their homes in the evening or get out in the morning to go to work, because all of the students are parked on both sides of the streets, and getting out is tough. The impact on infrastructure, roads, bridges, waters, there's no line item in there for that. Precinct 4, which is located in Kennesaw on Cobb Parkway, was called by these homeowners to come and move some cars or ticket the students because you can't get in and out of their house. They were parked on the front lawn. The response was, we can't do it now because we're short of officers. I hope to be there this afternoon. That was the response. Public safety is a secondary thought from the Board of Commissioners. Public safety is my #1 priority to protect each and every one of you in this room, but all across this county. I know from experience, when new people, new businesses want to move to Cobb County, they will ask the chairman 2 questions. What is the quality of your public safety? What's your crime rate? Number 2, what's the quality of your education? You better have good answers for those. If you don't, there are alternatives all around. Quality of life is dramatically going to change. Whether it's for the good or the bad, it's going to be up to you. Because you have no idea how important you are. And when I say you, I mean everyone in this room. I don't care where you live. In Cobb County, as I began by saying, 2014 is the time to take our country back and take our county back, I was expecting the primary to be filled with voters. We were expecting in our campaigns, all across the state of Georgia, from the governor, U.S. Senator, multiple congressional seats, we were looking at 40–45% voter turnout on May 20th, because nobody was on vacation. Surely they're listening to all these candidates. They're going to show up and they're going to vote. In District 1, 14% showed up. 14,000 people out of 102,000. We just shook our heads. Then we realized, okay, on the 22nd of July, how many of those fools are going to show up? 5%. 5,000 people are going to determine who the next district commissioner is going to be in West Cobb. And it's going to have the impact on the congressional races, the Senate race. Anybody running in the runoff, you got to figure, which 5,000 are going to come vote? I got 102,000 to look at. You've got to begin to ask yourself as a candidate, my goodness sake, if they don't care, why do I care? Well, I care enough to take the chance that you come back to vote, or you wouldn't be here tonight. And take someone with you. And if you don't live in District 1, you got time to move. The final issue I want to get to, and I caught the tail end of what Ron was saying, you have an enormous opportunity to send a message. 2 years ago, I ran for chairman. And Tim Lee was on one side, I was on the other. He was a Chambers candidate, I wasn't. He was promoting the T-Splost, I wasn't. They hammered me with everything they had. I lost the election, but won the vote because 69% of people, just like you, said no to a 10-year tax increase for programs and projects you didn't want and didn't see a need for. This year, they're coming through the back door to get what they couldn't get the front door. Because the BRT is the same beginning, the same end. It begins in Fulton County and it terminates in Kennesaw. It's just a different proposal. It started out at $1.2 billion. And it got to that point because they spent $4.1 million for a multitude of consultants to tell them, this is what you need to spend $1.2 billion on. First and foremost, from a professional perspective, and I've studied it thoroughly, it doesn't work. And I pointed out why. Shortly thereafter, they cut the program back. And they took out 12 intersection separations. If that's the case, the concept of BR doesn't work either. Doesn't eliminate traffic. There aren't enough people in that corridor who are going to ride the damn thing. The numbers don't work. I know it, Ron knows it, and we're trying to inform, not educate, those who are going to go vote. It doesn't work. And along with this, I'm conflicted. Because they're bringing forward a SPLOST program over a 6-year period of time. And I'm guessing, because I haven't seen the list yet, it hasn't been made public, there may be many good programs and projects in there that the voters in November will have the opportunity to say yes or no to. That's the way it should be. But if they put the BRT at the front of the list, I'll vote no, and I will beg every one of you to vote no, because Cobb County doesn't need that kind of a program. If we don't care enough to take care of the people we are elected to, and if we don't have any reservations at all to tax you infinitely limitless, because the SPLOST isn't the only one. The HOST, which is a homestead option sales tax, is coming. A water fee increase is coming. Property tax revenues are coming. Why do I know that? The $400 million we are obligated to give to the Atlanta Braves. For a 30-year period of time, we'll spend $700 million to pay it back. That's going to cost us approximately $20 million a year. The Board of Commissioners have created 3 new revenue sources. Those revenue sources add up to $9 million a year. They are $12 million short of being able to make their yearly payment. Where do you think that money's going to come? Us. 4 taxes are coming. Republicans. If you want to take back our country, pick one of these fine gentlemen, because they'll begin the process in the 11th district. I can promise you that. If you want to take back your county, you have a choice. My opponent, who is for everything I'm against and funded by the Chamber of Commerce, or me, who will fight everything that's been done to this day and begin the process of refocusing on what conservative constitutional beliefs define we need and we should. The choice is clear, but the choice is yours. You have got to go and vote and take someone with you. Because if you don't, who cares? Y'all have any questions for me? Be happy to.
Add another tax on that, because the Board of Education is planning on coming in with a less. And I sat down just on the back of an envelope not too long ago, tried to figure out where all this was going to lead to. It's kind of hard because, you know, there are offsets, there are all kinds of games that are being played. But, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but might we not be looking at a total tax burden to the citizens of this county, something on the order of 7 or 8% before this is all over?
We figured it up, we meaning folks in my campaign team, and it was 8.2% if they are all passed. And that is for an infinite period of time.
That's over the 4% or the state tax you're talking about?
No, in addition to.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So you're talking about like a 12%?
Yeah. And as long as they're voter approved, then that's a constitutional way to do it. But there are several that are not, that I would take issue with.
You know, using his numbers, you're not even kicking in some things too. It's amazing. It really is what they're got in front of us for.
Bill, if I may, shortly after the primary, and you made the runoff, the MDJ, wrote that should you capture the District 1 seat, chances are you would use it from day one as a springboard for another run at TM in 2 years. How do you respond to that?
I have absolutely no desire or intent. The voters elected him, and my focus is on protecting West Cobb, which includes Ackworth, Kennesaw, and Marietta, from what I know is coming. And that's my commitment to serve a 4-year term, if elected, as a district commissioner, and protect them as best I can, and hope to build a majority vote, which I believe I can, in which to do that.
Good. Thank you. Anybody else out there? Luke?
Yeah, I am looking forward to getting out there and doing some door-to-door campaigning and help you get elected. And I hope some other of these good folks here will do the same. Over a year ago, you may remember you and I both visited a 9/12 project meeting where they were talking about Agenda 21. I'm dead set against Common Core and Agenda 21, and I'm very concerned that it's getting into or is already in Cobb County. I know the school board has more to do with Common Core, but have you noticed any ways that Agenda 21 is creeping into Cobb County government?
Oh, yes, big time. Let me explain for those who don't understand what Agenda 21 is. That is the term given to a concept of growth management that began in the mid-30s in the United Nations. It fell by the wayside after the Second World War and through about 20 years, and it re-energized itself about 15 years ago. It is a concept of growth, which is regional in its focus, not local in its focus. And the Atlanta Regional Commission, which is our version of the United Nations, has a regional perspective as to how Cobb should grow. Their sole purpose in life is to make sure we in Cobb County, either by choice or not, be encompassed in a regional transit program. Thus the T-SPLOST, thus the BRT. That becomes a regional transit system. And along with that comes the growth concepts that create high-density growth in the corridors in which transit exists in exchange for no growth policies and maintaining of green space in other areas of the county based on environmental issues. There are also, and I'll give you a perfect example, and I've talked about this for years. For those of you who live in West Cobb, if you were to go out Dallas Highway, beginning at Whitlock Avenue on the square, and go out Dallas Highway, you'll see on the left-hand side a 10-foot wide sidewalk that begins nowhere and goes nowhere. That's an Agenda 21 issue. Those monies were justified, and that program was developed, and it's going further up Dallas Highway as we speak, as an alternative form of transportation to accommodate pedestrian traffic and bicycle traffic. That's an Agenda 21 ARC issue. The monies came through from federal programs through ARC to Cobb County. The concepts of growth as well are equally focused through our staff and endorsed by the majority, I believe, of the Board of Commissioners. There is a very, very, very major zoning proposal in East Cobb, for those of you who live in East Cobb and are watching, on Roswell Road. It's an Isaacson proposal, not Johnny Isaacson, his son, in which they are looking at a supposed seniors program right across the street from a relatively new, and I don't think they've opened up yet, WellStar program next to a county park. That concept of green space, hospital, and high-density development, that's an Agenda 21 concept for growth proposal. That is before the Board of Commissioners, and I'm watching very carefully as to how they are going to deal with it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, going out Macklin Road, I've noticed they built a lot of sidewalks that don't go anywhere with brick inlay and all that. I wonder where that goes. It's probably part of what you said, but another thing that really bothers me, they're putting a lot of curbing in the intersection itself, okay? Like when I go out Macklin Road, I used to like to turn on Bullard, you know, to head over that way. Now they built that big curve out there where you can't turn that. It's number one, expensive, number two, it gets in my way. And number three, if I'm in my motorhome, those lanes are so narrow, it's hard to get through right there without taking a tire and jumping over it. So why are we doing that?
Well, we're doing it because the district commissioner at the time, or the present time, Helen Gordon, requested it. There are two Bullard, I know you know what we're talking about, but on Macklin Road, which goes up into Paulding County, there are two Bullard roads that come into Macklin Road. They're offset by maybe a football field. And they were dangerous because they are cut through proposals. And the way the Board of Commissioners directed the engineers to do that is restrict right turns only off of one Bullard Road and left and right turns off the other Bullard Road, thus creating a big